I know my voice is fucked right now. I was just on legit 4.5 hours of meetings, and I was basically talking 90% of the time. They were like, "Geez, you have so much wisdom." I was like, "I know, like that's what happens when you're just high IQ and read a million books." And they're like, "You should like make some videos." It's like, shit, I haven't made a video in a year and a half on this stuff. So I was like, I'll do a live stream, and I'll answer some people's questions and listen to some Apex Twin, and it'll actually be enjoyable. So here I am. Anyways, I'm gonna answer some questions, and yeah, we used to have thousands of people in here, but I think we only have 500 or 600 right now. Okay, what's up? Let's see. I'm not gonna say your name. How do I get out of my comfort zone and stop playing life safe? Dude, cowards are punished in this world. Like, if you're a coward, you are going to be fucking punished in this world, right? And it's not even your fault. Like, it's not even your fault that you're fully a coward. Like, it is, but it also isn't, right? It was much easier to. Dude, back then it was so easy to not be a coward. Right? Modern day psychology says, okay, you need comfort, you need this and that, and that's just not true. In fact, what men need is a challenge. Like, you need a challenge. You're dead without a challenge. Therapy has become this revolving door of intellectualizing emotions rather than solving problems, and it promises healing, yet really just leaves you in a endless loop of self-analysis and medication and really external validation. So, and again, like, anxiety and depression aren't just neurological imbalances. They're really just signals from the soul. They're signals from the soul that something is wrong and action is needed. And yet they tell you, oh, just accept victimhood, right? Convincing you that you are powerless is basically what they're saying. You are too powerless to go and fix the issue. Just accept victimhood. It's like, oh, fuck you. But you're stupid, so you do. And when in reality, what it is a consequence of not taking the proper action in life. And men need friction in order to be great. All people need friction in order to be great. In fact, everything I'm looking at right now needs friction in order to be great. Trees fight against wind their entire lives. If you grow a tree in a greenhouse, the trunk becomes too brittle and eventually can't even support itself, and it collapses on top of itself. So it's like, and look at, if you crack the shell for a baby bird, it dies in a day, because it needed that friction in order to grow into something that could conquer the world, that could even just survive in the world. And look at the reefs. The most beautiful reefs in the world are built in the most aggressive seas, where the waves are constantly pounding on them, and aggressive currents, very tumultuous environments. And so it's like, it's clear that it's inherent within the biological imperative of every living thing on this world, on this planet, on this earth. It needs friction, it needs struggle in order to be great, in order to even just live, sustain itself, in fact. And see, we're in a weird place in society where we don't actually need that. Like, you're not going to die if you don't have friction. But I promise you're not going to live either. You're going to merely exist. And then you have to ask yourself if you just want to merely exist, right? So, and again, as I said, this is the nature of the biological realm we live in, right? And to think you're an exception it's a tragedy. And action is the key to growth. Right, the more you engage in competitiveness, risk, and struggle, the more you really awaken your true nature. All right, I feel like I've been stuck in the same place. No, you haven't. Is that even real, or am I just making an excuse? It's not. There's no such thing as being stuck in the same place. Stagnation does not exist. I promise you, there's no such thing. The closest thing to stagnation is going up the ladder, down the ladder, up the ladder, down the ladder, up the ladder, down the ladder. There's no such thing as actually being stagnant. You're either evolving or decaying, right? If you're constantly seeking the next challenge, right, as I sort of said, like I was just talking about, friction, challenge, struggle. If you're constantly seeking that next challenge, a challenge that scares you, you're evolving. Contrarily, if you're seeking comfort and what feels good, you're withering away, just decaying into nothingness. But there's a spectrum to this. Now, this is how I actually calculate this. Now, I don't have to calculate this anymore, but I used to, right? And again, calculating this is an issue because when you're calculating things, you can't be present. And when you're present, you have to be conscious. And when you're conscious, you can't be in flow state. And you want to be in a perpetual state of flow, doing the things that you want to be flowing up the ladder, right? Now, if you want to sort of calculate this and sort of gauge where you're at, well, what I like to do is I take a spectrum. Every single time I choose comfort, that's 1 point. Every time I choose comfort, that's discomfort, that's another point. So it's like, okay, how many times did I choose the comfortable thing in the day? How many times did I choose the uncomfortable thing in the day, right? And at the end of the day, whichever holds the most points is the truth of your reality, right? But for practical senses, it sort of looks like this. It's very simple. With every decision you make, what does your body want to do? Whatever the body wants to do or prefers is the comfortable decision, and every time you push against that, you do the opposite. You're stepping up for a challenge, and that's a point in the opposite direction, the right direction, the positive direction that's going to make your life better. I'm going to take a shower, right? Stop for a second, right? You have an option there. Okay, cold water or warm water? Well, I want the warm water, but the cold water would be a challenge. Yes, it would. So do it. That's a point, right? Now in this example, you may think, all right, come on, it's just a shower, but you say this ignorantly as if this isn't a perfect moment to create friction against your soul. This is the wind against your trunk. Over time, this will make you stronger. Wind against your trunk. Over time, this will make you stronger, and that strength you're going to need at some point, just like the baby bird, right? It's you need those things, and because you're in an environment where you're not going to be these things are not going to be bestowed upon you, like the bird, it has to break out of the shell that is bestowed upon it. Because it's biological, but we've manipulated biology in a way where we don't, it's not inevitable that we're going to need, that friction is going to become upon us. But that's why we have to create it. And again, I'm not saying like, okay, just do anything you don't want to do. Like obviously, okay, you don't want to run a marathon right now. That doesn't mean you go run a marathon. I mean in the practical sense, if the dishwasher is full, then, it's like, it's going to have to be emptied at some point. Just do it now because you don't want to, right? So always consciously do the things you don't want to do until it's a habitual, it's a habit, and then you just flow in that state of doing all the things that are making your life better. And these decisions, they slowly shape who you actually are. And it's the decisions that you make when no one's around that actually shape who you are and create that energy around you. I finally hit a goal I've been chasing forever and didn't feel anything. Yeah, that's the arrival fallacy. And no one likes to talk about arrival fallacy because it's like this. This is an analogy. I'm looking up at some mountains right now. You're never gonna tell the person in the middle of the hike, hey, the view at the top sucks. You don't do that. Whether it's business, a goal, anything, hey, the view at the top sucks. You don't say that to people because people don't like to be dicks. I'll be a dick. I'll tell you right now, the view at the top sucks, and in fact, the view that you have now is the best it's ever going to be. And then you think, how could the view now be so good? I'm struggling. It's hard. Life sucks. And it's like, yeah, but you're going to be the person who looks back and says, I wish I enjoyed the journey more. Right? Anyone who ever says, I wish I enjoyed the journey more, means they didn't enjoy their journey because their journey was fucking worth looking back on because it was hard and there was adversity and pain and struggle. And they did something great. It's like, if you enjoy the journey in the moment, you're never going to say, I wish I enjoyed the journey more. You're going to say, I wish I wasn't so fucking pathetic my entire life. So I don't optimize for enjoying the journey. I optimize for having a journey worth looking back on when I'm older and saying, I wish I enjoyed the journey more. And sure, smell the roses, like obviously, pluck one and take it with you here and now. But don't optimize for joy in that sense. Give me 1 second. I have more to say on this. Just give me 1 second. Okay. Yeah. So yeah, you said you didn't feel it. You felt the struggle and all that. Now, and this is the arrival fallacy. When I get there, I'm going to feel that thing. whatever that is to you, I'm going to finally feel worthy or special, whatever it is. But you don't, you feel nothing. In fact, you sometimes even feel worse because you expected something more. And expectation it's a tricky thing. Anyways, you feel underwhelmed because those expectations you set for your new life, once arrived at that place, were too high. And that view at the top of the mountain isn't as good as you think it is. But again, no one says that. And, but you're going to be very successful. That's the thing, you're going to be very successful. So you're not going to be very happy. You're never going to have that satisfaction or that contentness, but you're going to be very successful because, like for me, and it really is, it's the struggle to the goal, not the goal. I promise you that's where you need to derive the happiness, because if you don't get any happiness out of the struggle, then trust me, you're gonna be like, wait, I'll give all the happiness to the end, and then you won't get it when it's there. So you need to slowly let it drip in while you're doing the thing. But and I've spent a decade in this exact cycle, right? You suck and you must be miserable until you achieve X. I sign the dotted line every single time. I achieve the goal. Of course, that's what I do. But by then, I've already signed a new contract, and that last contract gets voided out, and the next one is the real one, right? And then surely, it's like, okay, surely, it was like, it was so weird. Like, I was so happy when I was making $5,000 a month when I was younger, and like that was like, it was only for like a month or two, but then it's like, but then I was like, all right, like, let's make 10. Once I started making 10,000, I'm like, all right, now I have to make 25, then 75, then 100, then $250,000 a month. And then it's like, okay, I need to sell a company for $100 million. You get the $100 million valuation. It's like, okay, I need to sell a company and I need to liquidate $1 billion cash. That's the only thing. And at this point, I know it's untrue. I know it's not going to give me happiness, but I'm sacrificing the happiness for the ambition that I have to reach my goals. And so I sacrifice the happiness and I say, okay, I just want to reach my goals. That's what I'm optimizing right now for in life. And so I still sign the contract. I have to be miserable. Life has to suck until I reach the goal. And there's no better way to reach the goal, because then you're like, if I reach the goal, I get to be happy and my life doesn't suck. And we all want to be happy and our life to not suck. So it's like, hey, your life's going to suck until you make $1 billion. Okay, I'll make $1 billion. Like, all right, I'll make $1 billion. Because not because I need the $1 billion. I just don't want my life to suck. Yeah. So, but again, like, that's the point. So what I'm trying to say is, like you said, why don't I feel good? It's okay. Like, it's okay to not feel good. It's not your fault. No one's ever told you. So I'm here to tell you, the view at the top is not that good. And it's sort of like, I coined this term a while back. I don't even know if I'm going to get it right, but the perpetual anxiety feedback loop analysis, right? That's sort of what I call it. Right? I make myself feel like shit in order to not feel like shit. And not want to die, I must accomplish the goal in front of me. So I do, obviously. Otherwise, I'll just want to die, and I don't want to die. So I achieve the goal. And if you want to be incomprehensibly successful, just do this, right? You will be absolutely miserable, but, and how do you cope with understanding I'll be miserable? It's simple. I change the way I see myself. Instead of looking at myself as a human who needs love, emotion, connection, peace, happiness, I see myself simply as a shield, a weapon, a vehicle for the rest of the world to benefit off my own misery. And I may be miserable, but what if my misery and pain can be converted into others' happiness, peace, joy, and love? Then maybe I will begin to enjoy the pain, because if I'm in pain, if I'm suffering, others are going to benefit. If I'm happy and in peace, others will be in suffering and in pain. So like flipping like this, and I'm not saying I'm such a good person. I'm not. This is just a wiring mechanism that I've used in order to cope with that idea. And again, I'm optimizing for one thing. Like, the last few seconds of my life are the only thing I'm optimizing for. Granted, I'm giving them, which I really hope I do. I want to say, yeah, you're right. And I'm betting my life that I will. All right, let's see. I finally had a goal. I've been I keep waiting to feel happy. All right, you just sort of saying what I just said. I'll read it. I keep waiting to feel happy once things work out, but it never actually comes. What am I doing wrong? Yeah, I mean, I just talked about that, but happiness doesn't exist. Like, when I was at rock bottom, and I do think my rock bottom was pretty bad, But, it's like there's rock bottom and there's cliff top. There's rock bottom and there's cliff top, and cliff top is worse than rock bottom, because when you're at rock bottom, you get to look up and say, that's my motivation. You can aim towards a certain thing and say, well, okay, I can aim towards that. That's great. That's going to give me the sufficient energy in order to get out of rock bottom. But when you're at the top and you're even more miserable than you were at the bottom, you have nowhere else to look up. So all you look at is the edge. And that is worse. Like, you don't only look at the edge and think, okay, let's just jump off, but you look at the edge and see how much you could lose. Like, rock bottom sounds so good. Like, I have infinite potential, and that infinite potential could be the thing that makes me happy. So that is motivation. And you have nothing to lose. When you're at the top, you have nothing to give you energy, nothing to give you that potential. Like, oh, I'm miserable. When you're at rock bottom, I'm miserable, but what if I get to the top? Then I'll be happy. When you're at the top and you're like, I'm miserable, it's like, oh, fuck. There's nothing else. I mean, then you have to look introspectively and find God. But then there's nothing else. And it's like, nothing can make me happy. And that's a harder pill to swallow than the one at rock bottom. But yeah. It's a stupid question. My anxiety is through the roof right now, and it's just making me freeze. How do I not let it waste me? That's actually a good one, because we all struggle with that. I don't know. Like, I don't look at anxiety in the stereotypical sense that the rest of the world does. I use anxiety as a tool to understand what I need to confront, and I use pain as a tool to make achieving my goals the only way to escape the pain, which is what I just spent the last 5 minutes talking about. So I won't get into that, but I agree to be in pain, mentally tormented, unable to live my life until I reach my next goal. Surely I reach that goal every time, right? Like, that's how I cope with pain. Now, I don't recommend this unless you want to be very successful, but you want to use anxiety as a tool, something that's like anxiety is like, okay, look at the dragon. People don't know the archetype of the dragon. People don't understand the allegory and all these stories that they were told when they were little. The dragon represents the thing in life that we're most afraid to confront. And what do dragons do? Dragons hoard gold, and the gold represents the treasure in our life that we most want to attain. And what I'm saying is, the thing you most want to attain in life is behind the thing you're most afraid to confront. And if you're always living your life chasing the thing you're afraid to confront, the thing that gives you anxiety, then you're going to live a life of always achieving things you truly want. So, okay, you have anxiety, that's a dragon, right? That's something you need to conquer. That's the way I see it, at least. The anxiety is the dragon, and the dragon is the thing I need to slay in order to get what I want. And I really think anxiety is coming from the soul, your soul telling you need to do something different. And anxiety is also very demonic. Like, anxiety is demonic in the sense, like, people, a lot of people are spiritual. Like, a lot of people really are spiritual. And especially women. Women are the most spiritual because they are more clairvoyant in a sense. They do understand the spiritual realm, but they're retarded, so they miss the point. They don't go deep enough. And I'm not, saying I'm a misogynist. I'm like, not that I would care if you thought I was, but men are even more stupid because men are more atheistic. Like, men are even, being an atheist is like, it's almost, you can't even make fun of them because they're just physiologically retarded or autistic. No, autistic would be giving them too much credit. They're just genuinely retarded. But then if you're spiritual but don't find Christ, then you just miss the mark. You just completely miss the mark. And I'll give women props for getting close, and they're right. Astronomy and astrology and the zodiac, it's all true. It's all extremely true. It's all right. But they don't understand. They don't understand it. They don't get to the bottom of it, and the bottom of it leads you somewhere. And it's the only place worth being led to, right? And it goes all the way back to Solomon, right? It goes back to Solomon. And Solomon, like you guys think, where did this come from? It's like Solomon. Solomon had thousands of slaves who were just studying black magic and witchcraft, and he figured all these things out. But when you tap into the zodiac and astrology and whatnot, you're biting the apple of gnosis, which makes sense, right? Women bite that apple of gnosis more than men, or the apple of knowledge. It's depicted in the Bible. Eve was the one who bit the apple. She bit it first. She bit the apple of gnosis, and you don't want to do that. In fact, you want to be blind to it. Now, the spiritual realm, what I'm getting at is, and trust me, I understand this. like I'm not even gonna get to this, but I had a mentor that he showed me the truths to the world, and he was not some regular person. Like he was, I don't talk about him, but he was a very high level in a certain genre, cult you could even call it, and he's also, you know, one of the most powerful men in the world, and he showed me everything. And I've read hundreds of books on this stuff. I like to read a lot of allegory and Christian mysticism. Also, I like to read psychology books that are intertwined with mysticism. I think those are the only ones worth reading. Jungian psychology is good as well. I mean, I don't listen to Freud or Marx too much because they didn't find Christ. Jung did find Christ, and again, Jung is, he was incomprehendibly high IQ. Now, what I'm getting to, and I actually have a point that I'm going to go full circle on. The spirit, but it's like basically, like you'll realize, okay, the people who actually run this world, who genuinely run this world, this is a little tangent, but I'm going to go back full circle. The people who actually run the world, you'll realize, and he told me, and he's how I found Christ, even though he was never a Christian, but he always said, Don't be a Buddhist, Taoist. Don't follow Islam. Don't follow any other religion. Trust me. He always said, read the Bible, and spend time with God, and then pick Satan or Jesus. And they have other names for Lucifer, but he said everything else it's fucking bullshit. It's not real. It's just fucking stupid. It's like the people who run this world, who literally run the world and have all the money in the world, like the quintillions of dollars. They believe in the Bible. They take their scriptures and writings from the Bible, and they also believe in a war that's going to happen, Armageddon, and they think Satan's going to win. Like they think he always said, he's like, either be on the front line of Satan's army or Jesus's army. Like you don't want to be anywhere else. He always told me that, and he was very upfront about that. And I chose Jesus. And he's too caught up in the world, and all these people are too caught up in the world and some certain things, and I'm not going to get into that anymore. But what I'm saying is, like, the spiritual realm is real, and if you believe in the spiritual realm, then like you have to believe that anytime you feel pulled to do something that's not right, that's going against your conscience, that is spiritual, right? Powers and principalities is what we deal with. Right? It's not flesh and blood, but we deal with powers and principalities. So you anytime you have an urge to do something that's truly going against your conscience, then that's something pulling on your unconscious. That's something pulling on the symbolic part of you, and that's a demon, right? The demon of lust or pride or anxiety, right? That's all demonic. And I'm not saying don't think, like I think more than anyone else, but I don't think about bad thoughts. That's what I'd say. And like, I guess, shit, I could go into the ego a little bit, and Buddha's a fucking idiot. Buddha says, kill the ego. Like, go fuck yourself, Buddha. And he said a lot of good things, right? And the Taoists, Eastern cultures, they did pretty good, philosophically, but not spiritually. They always miss the mark spiritually. And I say don't kill the ego. I say kill your ego's bounds and make it boundless. And I could spend an hour talking about that, but basically what you have to realize is you have to first realize that you're a slave and constricted to an egotistical construction fabricated by the very existence of society. And you need to separate the conscious, which is the ego. You are not you. Like, people think they know themselves. It's like, no, have you spent years going through the process of self-realization and individuation? It's like, no, you haven't. You don't know anything about yourself. You only know your ego, and your conscious is your ego. That's why I'm going to refer to the conscious and the ego as the conscious ego. You have to separate the conscious ego from the unconscious and make the unconscious conscious, so that the unconscious ego can meet the unconscious, feel it, play with it, understand it, and learn it. And again, the unconscious speaks through symbols, visions, dreams. There's if you've read any of Jung's work, you'll understand. Like, he would have his patients, he would have them sit down. He'd just say, draw, take no thought and draw, and then he would take the symbols from that and he would fix their life in 10 minutes. Now it's hard because the ego, feeding that conscious ego, is rewarded by society. So you feed it because it's societally rewarded, financially rewarded, status, socioeconomically, the list goes on. So we do feed it, but you have to actually go a little bit lower than that. And that's where the real journey begins, right? It's like a buy-in at the poker table. Now you can play, but the most important part is actually seeing the hands that you've been dealt, because the hands you've been dealt are only accessible in the unconscious mind, because that's where your star seed was planted, in between your heart and your mind, and you then can actually you'll see your true creative powers and really your cosmic infinite potential that was given to you by God, right? Da Vinci said, I've wasted my entire life doing nothing with the potential that I was given. And it's like, fuck. If Da Vinci said that, what does that mean about you? Like, if the Mona Lisa, polymath, if Da Vinci said that, what does that mean about you? It's sad. Like, honestly, you're a piece of shit, probably. And never say, never, manifest is real, but everyone in modern society gets it completely wrong. It's like you're going to get to heaven and you're going to be like, oh, God, that's why you gave me my imagination. Like, that's what you mean my imagination wasn't just to torture me before bed every night? And you're going to be like, fuck. But never say, I'm not a bitch. Like, I'm not a bitch. All you're thinking about me is me being a bitch. Always, you have to do it in the positive. I'm the fucking man. And don't say it 10 times. Just say it once and actually mean it, right? You can't become the thing you're trying to be. You have to be the thing that you want to be in life. You can't become your way to being anything. It won't work. You have to be that person. Wake up. Who do you want to be? You want to be a millionaire? Okay. What would your millionaire do? He would go take his millionaire shower. Go take your fucking millionaire shower. Right. Anyways, back to, the ego and whatnot. And I could spend an hour on this as well, so I'm not going to. But really what I'm saying is, like, the unconscious mind is something you don't want to seek, because that's a dragon, right? Now, it's not about seeking the unconscious mind to find all the bad about you, because there is more bad than good, but it's about finding the good, and the bad is inevitably along the path to finding the good. But then once you make the unconscious conscious, then you can become whole. And once you become whole, you can become truly authentic. And that authenticity, you bleed it, and to the point that it shatters and vibrates the same frequency in everyone around you, which is like cheating for them, because they're possessing the same authenticity without having to do any of the work. But then you leave, and those physiological strings in their soul stop pulsing, and they go back to themselves and realize they're just a fucking miserable, stupid fucking bum who's destroying the starseed put in them and not living up to their the potential that was given to them. And that's like going full circle. That's like, if God gives you cosmic infinite potential, right, that starseed in between your heart, and you did nothing with it, are you telling me demons didn't infiltrate you? Like, if God gives you this level of cosmic potential and time to get it in order, how can you tell me you wasted it and demons weren't involved? Like, and the spiritual realm is real. Like, you don't have to look for it to learn that. Atheists are retarded. Women are less retarded, because they actually, but like, they also biologically have that clairvoyance to understand the spiritual realm. They do actually have an ability there, but like, we think a woman just knows when you're lying. She just knows. It's fucked. She just knows. But yeah. Anyways, what I'm saying is, anxiety. If it's causing you to think of negative thoughts, you need you need to be exorcised by an exorcist and get that out of you, or just claim Jesus and just claim Jesus. All right, let's see. Stupid question. Everyone tells me to kill my ego, but I feel like that's the only thing pushing me forward. Am I wrong? Again, don't kill your ego. Make it boundless. I'm not gonna lie, my head's been in a mess lately. How do you deal with it when it feels like your own mind is against you? Don't ask me. My mind's so beyond fucked. Like, I wish someone could feel it for a second. I wish I could talk to someone to feel the same. I wish I could talk to someone to feel who's felt the same way and ask them how they deal with it. But I've never met anyone. Right? Like, I compartmentalize, and I pull things apart and put them back together, and I psychoanalyze every living thing in the world. Everything. It's like, everything I count, it's completely fucked up, and I'm genuinely the wrong guy to ask that question. I'm finally getting somewhere in my career, but I feel alone. Yada yada yada. Is this what just happens? Yeah, I mean that's true. Like it's lonely. It's lonely at the top. It's just as lonely at the top as it is on the journey, but the journey you feel it more, and you're not like as happy with yourself. So yeah, that's like when you're at the top, you once you know, and again cliff top, this that, just call it call a spade a spade. When you're at the top, you're more happy with yourself in some sense, assuming you are, and you feel a little bit more whole, and you've gone on a cool journey, and you're more okay to be alone. But the thing is, like, when you listen, it's called the lonely place, right? You want to leave the friends that you're currently with behind because you know they're holding you back, but you're not yet great enough for the friends that you're going to have once you are great. So you are in a little bit of this psychological dichotomy, and it's like you start at the bottom and it's so lonely. Only for a rare, you start at the bottom and it's not so lonely. Only for a rare mind it is. Like, for me, I was always lonely, but I had my mind, so it was okay. And the issue here is, but still, it's not so bad. But in order to propel yourself forward, right, first you must leave your group. And the issue here is when you leave your group, you have no group to go to. And this is why many people fall back to their old lives and their old habits and their old friends. They simply can't persevere through the prolonged isolation. And I was only isolated for like 3 years. But like, and like in those 3 years, like, I'm against dating in those 3 years. I don't think you should date. Like, maybe you'll find someone, which sucks because there's another dichotomy, because it's like you don't want to date in those 3 years. You want to like feel the loneliness and really become whole with yourself. But then it's like, okay, now you're out of that and you've made it and you're rich and you're successful in status. And then it's like, okay, but now like, but then you say, I wish I had a woman in the beginning. Like, I don't really care. But like some people say that. So just let you know. Fuck gold diggers, though. Just saying. Yeah. So like, yeah, you're gonna be lonely, right? And you'll never. I'll tell you like this, and hopefully you get there. I think you probably will, but it'll never hit you until you're on a private jet alone. Once you're on a private jet alone, you'll be like, fuck. It becomes tangible. It's kind of a nostalgic feeling. And personally, I made a mistake here. So like, I actually can speak on this because I did I made a mistake and I went through it. I made the mistake, right? Part of me enjoyed the lonely place. And sure, there were times when you feel a deep desire for connection, but you get over it. And again, as I said, I personally don't believe in being with a woman, which would have made things easier, but I can't say, they're like, women are distractions. And not that women aren't great, I fucking love women, but it's like, yeah. And it's okay that they're a distraction, but they're going to be a distraction. I look at women as they're sort of like mosquitoes, but for energy. They suck energy out of you, and that's okay. Like, that's totally fine. But it's just what it is. So I begun to sort of truly enjoy that place, and the conversations I had with myself became much more interesting than with anyone else, and that's like not great. But on the other end, I found myself in a new yet odd dichotomy, right? I don't hang out with the old friends, not because I don't think I'm too good for them. I genuinely wouldn't enjoy it. Like, my head is just a little bit different, and it always has been, but now it's really just different. Like, I don't know, I want to talk about things regarding the mind, the world, life, global affairs, technology, the human psyche, right? The secrets of the universe. I want to talk about that shit. But I'd be talking to brick walls, and I've tried it. But I also don't like successful people. That's a dichotomy. I don't like successful people either because, they seem to pedestal themselves. They have huge egos in a way which makes me want to just kick them off their pedestal and then walk all over them. And I understand the irony of what I just said, but that's what makes it difficult for me. And that being said, you need to tunnel. You begin to tunnel vision your friends, right? You become more selective, and this isn't great for casting a wide net and finding the niche. It's like if you cast 100 fish and have 100, like whatever friends, you can find the ones that I don't know. I'm at a point in my life where if I want to give up all my money and most likely my own life as well for a friend, I don't bother being a part of their life at all. Let's see. I want to actually run something one day instead of just working for someone else. Where do I even start? That's a tricky one. I can help you, but it's a little bit tricky. Like, people say, oh, you just need to put in unprecedented amounts of work. It's like, yeah, you need to be built different too. People say you don't have to be, it's not about being high IQ. It's like, yeah, it is. You need to be high IQ. You need to be pretty high IQ in order to be successful. And then you also need to work really hard. And here's, okay. You need to harness multiple things, right? What do we have? And I'll tell you how to be and real quick, I'll tell you how to be a CEO, right? If you look at a CEO job on paper, right, no one would want to do it. The weight on your back, the responsibility, every decision that comes to you is like, there's not really any obvious answer, and anyone you pick is gonna piss someone off, like every single time. So people want to become CEO until they actually are. But it comes with benefits, money, status, everything. But no one feels sorry for you because you make so much money. But leadership is also getting harder and harder. I think it was easier a couple decades ago. But okay, I see being a CEO or running a company, and again, I'm talking about a real company, one with I don't know, just say 60 employees plus, or even 30 employees plus. It's a series of paradoxes, is what I'll call it. A series of paradoxes, right? You have to be human and authentic and compassionate while also holding people accountable to their performance, right? You have to create a sense of urgency while also being patient. You have to create an inclusive culture while also being very direct on what you stand for. Right? And leadership is hard because of these paradoxes, and balancing them isn't necessarily easy. And you also need the skill of, how should I say this? The ability to simplify complexity. That's a very big one. So, yeah. But the thing with running a company is, if you look at if you look at what I'm blanking on it, if you look at the big 5 characteristic traits, you have openness, conscientiousness, introversion, extroversion, and neuroticism. Now, forget introversion and extroversion, right? Those are those sort of drift with the wind. Like, I can be extroverted, I can be very charismatic when I want to be, and I'm really an introvert. But, so it's like, those are you can manipulate those very easily. But when it comes to being successful, you have neuroticism, conscientiousness, and openness. Now, openness is high in creativity, and conscientiousness is high in industriousness, or the ability to work very hard and consistent over a long period of time. Now, neuroticism isn't narcissism, just to make that clear. Like, neuroticism doesn't really have anything to do with narcissism, in my opinion. And I'm not a narcissist. I would be a narcissist if it wasn't for the fact that I have a chronic level of empathy for others. Like, I genuinely have unbelievable levels of empathy for others, and I'm hard on people, but I really do feel for their struggle, and I'm very empathetic towards the world. But if it wasn't for the fact that I was very empathetic, then yeah, I possess every characteristic of a narcissist. But I think that's the worst one. Like, that's what really makes it a narcissist. So by textbook, I'm not at all. But what I am is I am extremely high in openness, so very creative, abstract thinker. I see things in a very different lens from the ordinary person, and that's just the way my mind has always been. And that's very hard to harness. It's very hard. That's very genetic. It's very hard to harness, and that's how your mind is programmed from a very young age. Now, the person who's high in openness and high in creativity is the person who has all the great ideas but never has the ability and work ethic and discipline to actually execute on them. So they don't do shit. They just work at a gas station. And data too. But the conscientious person who's very industrious and very hardworking, he can work extremely, extremely hard, but he's going to work extremely hard and not have the creative insight to see when he needs to pivot, and he's going to end up working extremely hard in the wrong direction, and he's going to crash because of that. Now, if you're very conscientious, you're going to be a millionaire. You'll be a millionaire if you're very conscientious. Like, 100%, you're going to be a millionaire if you're that conscientious. But you won't be a billionaire. You won't ever be a billionaire. Now, if you can, so it's better if you're going to have one, just be conscientious. Again, socioeconomically, financially speaking. Now, if you can, which I've been lucky to possess, and I think very few people do, and this is why I say, like, Not everyone can, run companies and build things and make a real pile of money, right? Like actually stacking B's behind their name. It's being extremely high in openness while also being equally high in conscientiousness. So you're extremely high in openness, you're creative, you can come up with the idea, but then somehow, like, God just gave you the ability to be conscientious and industrious and be able to work 20 hours a day for multiple years at a time and not take a break and sacrifice everything else that you want to do for that mission and that mastery of craft. So that's so what I'm saying is, sure, you can try and harness the openness and the conscientiousness, and you'll do really good. You'll be very successful. Someone said, I can't enjoy the climb. It's because you're only thinking about the top. Like, the one thing that makes the climb so unbearable is when all you can think about is the top, right? And that's for me, like, at least the first time around. I didn't enjoy the climb because all I could think about was the top, and doing it again, I wouldn't care about the top, and I would only focus on the journey and maybe even get there faster and definitely enjoy it more. Chill, don't say that shit. Do you believe in God? Clearly you just hopped on. Someone said, I believe in a higher power. Get the fuck out of here, you atheist, MTV watching agnostic bitch. Everyone wants to hear the good news. Like, and that's why, dude, God is actually such a turn on for women, because everyone wants to hear the good news. Like, everyone. Bringing them to the mature God instead of their spiritual stuff. Humans love L's. Like, humans love taking L's. You can give a human heaven and hell, and they'll always choose heaven with a little bit of hell. They'll never just choose heaven. They'll never just choose heaven. Like, that's why God said, here's the tree of life. We loved it and we went away from it. Here's the tree 50-50. Oh yeah, I don't deserve the tree of life, so I go to 50-50. And still you have a second chance. But you're still eating from the wrong tree. How do I achieve my goals? Dude, see it through. There's nothing that I've ever seen through to the end that has ever failed. Yeah, the issue is focusing on the small things is, again, you're in the weeds, first of all, but no one notices the small things about you, and it's the small things that will tear you down, and then you focus on the small things that no one cares about, and then that affects the big things like confidence that, actually, no one's fucking thinking about your hairline, and that it's, a inch to, or a millimeter to recessed or whatever in the wrong direction. Like, no one gives a shit. Like, that's just you. But then it strips you of your confidence, and it's like, then people do pick up on that, and then you are fucked. And that's I wrote something about the paradox. I think I've wrote maybe like 7 books, and I just had them in my Google Docs. Like, actually written out, like 15 to 20 chapters, and actually edited. And I think I just read them for myself. The paradox, like and I remember a chapter in one of the books was the paradox of the billionaire, right? He thinks people only judge him on his accolades, so he becomes a millionaire, but nothing changes. Then he makes 100 million, nothing changes. He says, surely, once I become a billionaire, no one will be able to miss that, but nothing changes. And then, but nothing changed, not because he didn't change his life. Nothing changed because the only thing that didn't change is the way he sees himself, and the way you see yourself are how everyone else sees you. It's the truest thing in the world. People see you and judge you based off how you see and judge yourself. Yeah, listen, growth doesn't exist in making mistakes. It only exists in analyzing them. So that's like people come to me and they'll say, hey, like, I won't lie, I've been fucking up, but like, that's, they read one book and it's like, oh, mistakes it's just growth, right? No, it's not growth. Growth is analyzing them and then subtly making less and less of them. The beautiful thing about chess is if you lose, no matter how well you played, at some point you made a mistake, and life is like that. All day long you make micro, sometimes macro mistakes, and you should find them, study them, what they were, and prepare to not make them again. I know I'm not reading all these, but there's like... how to be successful and happy. That's fuck. I'd say I wrote once, it is a very unfortunate irony of the world that the skill set you often need to become successful in business is often the one you need to get rid of in order to become happy in life. Yeah, I think that's it. And that's, yeah. That answers your question. I'm sort of just scrolling and then picking random ones, so. Is love a feeling or a choice? Shit. So people went like full-blown spectrum, love's a feeling, yada, yada, yada. And then And then out of nowhere, they all started saying, no, love's a choice, not a feeling. Love's a choice. And I almost subscribed to that for a second, but that was a few years ago, and I was less intelligent than I am now. I don't think love is just a choice. Like, yeah, you need to choose to love someone, but love is a fucking chemical feeling. What is the feeling? You choose to love your mom? Like, no. Have you ever seen if you're a girl, you choose to love your dad, right? It's like and I said in opposites because the anema and the anemus, but it's like that is fucking. I can't agree that that's just some chemical imbalance that's making you love is spiritual. That's what I'm saying. Love is fucking spiritual. Love is fucking spiritual. And so I don't think I think you have to choose to love the person you love, right? I think you choose to not be a fucking dickhead. That's what I think. But yes, love is spiritual. Love is not a choice. It's not a feeling, it's spiritual. Yeah, fuck. I'm not gonna read this one because it's long, but you have how do you become better? I don't grade myself on other people. I don't look at other people and think, oh, I need to be like them or I need to be better. All I do is I look at when I'm winning and I emulate that. So I never if I was losing in life, I don't say I try and be like that. I try and be who I was in the moments of my life where I was winning the most. right? Anytime you think of anything in the past or future, you are about to destroy everything you have. And I'm telling you right now, it's not about thinking of nothing like a Buddhist. Just follow your desires in the right now. So if you have a desire of becoming a millionaire, like what would that look like? What would you do if you were a millionaire? I'd get up and I already talked about that. Is therapy helping the world or destroying it? Well, it's an actual stat that therapy, as the number of therapists in the world tripled, and the amount of depression tripled as well. So it followed it. But the important note there is the depression followed the level of therapists. If it was the other way around, like depression now tripled, and then we compensated with more therapists, that would make sense. Like, yeah, but it's the amount of psychologists and psychiatrists tripled, and the amount of depression tripled as well. So it's funny. What do you think about working hard? Dude, the Bible says sweat by the brow. You need to sweat by the brow. Work hard. Master your craft. That's extremely important. Your life mission is to master your craft. You need to master your craft. And we're not like, if we were God, we would say you have to focus on me all day, and otherwise it'd be blasphemous. But God, our God is so good, Christ is so good, that he says, no, you can focus on whatever you want. You can focus on video games or football or business or nail polish, like whatever the fuck you want. You can focus on anything. Whatever, you can be a blacksmith, like focus on whatever you want, but you need to sweat by the brow, master it, be in a state of mastery, become the best at it, and then turn it back to Scripture, turn it back to Christ, and then, use it for his kingdom. How to find your inner compass. Knock and the door will open. Ask and you will receive. Seek and you will find. Intellectuals don't shape the world of men, but intellectuals don't shape the world, but men of action. Yeah, like obviously. I mean, not in a metaphysical sense. Like I think intellectuals have shaped the world. They were probably men of action, though. So yeah. If you're a true intellectual, then you're a man of action. How to change my aura? Sunglasses and a sideways hat. No. I think a lot of people think energy is like what they give off in the moment when people are around, and I think they have it backwards. I think the energy that you give off when people are around is generated by the things you do and the way you act when no one is around. Like that's who you are. I think that's what builds that aura on that toroidal field. Is it toroidal or toroidal field? Some chick in here probably knows. What's the anema and the anemus? Shit. Well, the anema is for men and the anemus is for women. So the anema is like the spiritual. Basically, the anema is the way that men or a man conceptualizes women as a whole, and the anemus is the way a woman experiences or thinks about or conceptualizes or interprets the manly figure in her life. Like Carl Jung viewed homosexuality primarily through the lens of archetypal archetypal psychology linking male same-sex attraction to an over-identification with the mother complex or the anema possession, which I thought was really interesting. And I think he talked about that in the Red Book, maybe. What are my dreams and how do I analyze them? Well, your dreams are spiritual and they're not to be wasted. And that's like why I like sometimes I would smoke weed, and when I was younger, and I stopped when I realized that, and I wanted to feel my dreams, because when you smoke, you don't at night you don't have dreams. Now I was never like a pothead, but okay, what is a dream? It's some people say that dreams are just the people in your dreams are just projections of yourself, right? So it's like, if you say something to someone that they don't like and then they start projecting onto you, it's almost like the people in your dreams are you projecting onto you. But it's your unconscious mind trying to project those things and speak to you, right? Because the unconscious mind, as I said earlier, speaks in symbols and dreams and visions, right? So it's like, okay, what if everyone you encounter in your dreams is a projection of yourself revealing something to you? That maybe everyone you face and meet and interact with is a projection of oneself in the dream. And it's the other side of yourself, the unconscious, doing that. So most figures in a dream, like most figures in a dream, they represent disowned or unintegrated parts of the dreamer's own psyche, right? Like not literal predictions or messages from the outside, but the mind showing you pieces of yourself you haven't fully looked at, right? Like a stranger who's aggressive might represent your own suppressed anger, or you get the point. But I think dreams are largely your brain processing, like the unconscious psyche. Like a lot of people would say, I think dreams are processing memory and emotion and recent experience. It's with less top-down control than waking thought. I disagree. I think it's just extremely difficult to read a dream, and if you can read 3% of it, then you're already like doing something most people can't. Like a painter uses paint to make the art. Your mind uses people in dreams to convey the meaning. It's almost like dreams are its paint. All right, I'll do one more. Actually, no, I don't feel like it. Well, there it is. Peace out.